Good afternoon. Welcome to our second session on locating and travelling to a fireground. Thanks for joining us today, Peter and Greg.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Lovely. Just want to make sure that I sent out a bit of an email, a bit of some attachments to the meeting today with a few attachments. And there's a glossary of terms on there. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys have got that today.
Yep.
Been able to open it from the meeting invitation.
Yep.
Lovely. Thank you.
The instructions you gave us were really cool. Had pictures as well. It was good.
Good. Excellent. All right. So so we're just going to do a short session today, and we're going to talk about locating and travelling to a wildfire. But first of all, I just wanted to go through that glossary of terms that I sent out and look at some of the terms that might come up in our session today, and just a bit of an understanding of what those words mean. So I might share my screen today and we can have a look at the glossary of terms together. There we go. Just want to make sure everyone can see my screen there.
Yep.
Is it big enough? Yep, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute, but yep, I can see it.
Yes, lovely. Thank you. Okay, so looking at the glossary of terms, so in some of the, sorry, I'll just take another step back. You've also got your learner manuals, basic wildfire. It's not going to come up, is it?
It's close. I think if you put it a bit closer to your, what do you call the thing? The camera. You should be able to see it. Move it a bit closer towards your camera. Back a bit. We can. No, it's not working.
Not working. Okay, let me just take my background off and I'll just confirm. So carrying over from, obviously we're in our second session. So the first session we went through with our manuals, our basic wildfire awareness learner manual. So just making sure that you've got that on your tables today.
Yep.
So today we're going to be looking at page 21, which is the section 2, locating and travelling to a wildfire.
Cool.
So, but before we go through that, I wanted to talk about some glossary of terms in relation to this section, section 2. So, and we might have covered a couple of these yesterday or the other day when we were in our first session, but we're just going to rehash them. Okay, so first one is wildfire.
What page did you say?
Page 21 in your learner manual, that's a section, but we're actually just looking at that glossary of terms at the moment. Yep. Okay. So these will are some terms that will come up in section 2 in our training. So first one there, I've just popped some images in there too, just to put it in context for you. So first one, a wildfire or bushfire, which is commonly more known in Australia. Wildland fire or rural fire is an unplanned, unwanted, uncontrolled fire in an area of combustible vegetation starting in rural areas and urban areas. So, so when you hear the word wildfire, that is referenced also as a bushfire. Second one we've got there is about the personal protective clothing, which was the PPE and equipment. So in yesterday's session, we went through safe work practices and we looked at different lots of personal protective clothing, or PPE, as we'll refer to it in the short way. So things like firefighting helmets, your firefighting boots, some one-piece overalls or two-piece rural firefighting protective clothing, your protective gloves, and your eye protection, hearing and respiratory protection devices. So when we're looking at those sorts of things, we're in our manual, in our learner manual, we're looking back in section 1, and we are looking back in section 1.
Okay.
Pages 8 to 9. and that's what we went through yesterday. Fireground. Fireground's an area in which firefighting operations are being carried on and they're active. So when you hear the word fireground, that's what they're referring to. Situational awareness is knowing what's going on around you. So knowing your surroundings, knowing your, who's around you, what equipment's around you, and we'll touch on that a little bit in our session today. Another term is the rear or a flank of a fire. So you can see the diagram there. It's probably a little bit better on your handout copies. You can see, the point of origin of a fire, where the spot fires happen, the flank, different parts and sections of fire. So that's just those terminology and words. Topography, the forms and features of land services, such as...
How do you say that word?
And elevation, topography. Yep.
That's a hard one.
And rate of spread, and that's the speed in which the fire edge is advancing along the ground. So the part of our session today, we're going to watch a video which, it references the rear and flank of fires as well as rates of spread. So that's just a bit of a help sheet for you to work with today's session. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment and then we'll get up our next session. There we go. So as I discussed, we're talking today about travelling and locating to a wildfire. Oops, sorry. So we're just going to go through, we're just going to come up to our video. So we're going to have a look at a video today around what's called Dead Man Zone, and it will reference a few of those glossary terms that we went through. So I'm just going to play parts of this today. Make sure, actually, just going to reshare that again. There we go. I just want to make sure you can hear that.
Yep.
Yes? Great.
Yep.
Right.
There's my cigarette and my 6-gun.
It's the fastest moving part of the fire. The temperatures can be over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The flames might be 40 metres high. Even after the flames have gone, you can't survive in the headfire zone for maybe an hour after it's passed. It's an enormously dangerous place. It's like walking into hell.
From their research into wildfire behaviour, the Project Vesta scientific team coined the term the Dead Man Zone.
We simply said, look, the area that a fire can travel in 5 minutes if the wind changes and turns a flank fire into a head fire is an extraordinarily dangerous area. The thing that can always change in a fire is the wind direction. The firefighter has to be expecting that the fire behaviour can suddenly change if the wind switches to right angles to the direction it's blowing and change the flank fire into a head fire within a few minutes. When a fire moves away from a line, it moves away at a maximum rate of spread instantaneously from a few metres per minute to literally hundreds of metres per minute.
Victoria's 1998 Linton fire had been contained after burning under a nor'norwesterly wind and a fire danger rating of high. On the eastern flank, control lines were approaching each other as a strong southwesterly wind change arrived, gusting over 60 kilometres per hour. 2 crews were in the remaining unburnt forest, some 70 metres from the fire edge. The uncontrolled section of flank fire suddenly became a head fire. A wall of flame engulfed the firefighters in less than 2.5 minutes. 5 firefighters died.
When the cold change came through, the first thing that happened is this fire turned from flames a couple of centimetres deep, 30 centimetres high, to a metre of flame, 40 metres deep, just spreading across the tops of the litter. And then as the convection built up, the flames went into the tops of the trees and you had flame heights in excess of 20 metres. These shifts really can occur without warning, and that's what firefighters must prepare for. When this wind change occurs, you have to drop what you're doing and go immediately to a safe area. It's been a long-standing practice that people attacking a wildfire in the forest go to an anchor point, which is a safe point at the rear of the fire, and then work systematically up along the flanks of the fire. If we progressively control the edge of the fire, we've always got a safe place to fall back to, onto the burnt-out area. You have to be watching the fire all the time. If there is any change, and the most usual change is the smoke starts coming towards you, then that's an indication that the conditions have changed. I'm out of here. If you don't react immediately, you could be in big trouble.
I'll just hold that the video there. So it's actually quite interesting when you're watching it from the old vision. Sorry. So I'm just going to go back and we'll start our session. So you can see that PowerPoint presentation there again?
Yep.
Beautiful, lovely. So, looking today, this was around locating and travelling to a wildfire. So, making sure that you're prepared and ready when you're heading to the fire ground. So, pause now. Just going to pause. Put myself